Dansinger with Dr. Michael Dansinger, diabetes reversal expert with diabetesreversalpartners.com. Today, we have two big topics. One, we're going to talk about ultra processed foods and the big 60 Minutes piece that was done with RFK Jr. and several other health experts. Also, Dr. Mark Topol posted on LinkedIn I guess it was a look at a couple of randomized trials on intermittent fasting and saying that intermittent fasting, as much as we'd like to believe that it helps, does not have an impact on obesity and other main markers that doctors are testing for, which that's very frustrating to hear. Not sure if it tests it, the cell renewal, which is what I sometimes will do that for. We've also heard with diabetes reversal that it has an impact for some. So I'm curious from Dr. Danzinger's standpoint, whether that is, how he views intermittent fasting. So welcome, Dr. Danzinger. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Kim. Thanks for the opportunity. Great topics today.
Yeah, I think so. And make sure that if you do like what Dr. Danziger has to say and you live in New Hampshire, Massachusetts, New York, Virginia, Minnesota, or Florida and have Medicare or Medicare Advantage PPO plans, his services are covered by those insurance offerings. So make sure to check him out. And we've had several patients have incredible success with the personalized attention that he provides virtually for all of the patients in those states and hopefully some other states down the road, Dr. Danziger. You're
I've
continuing
got
to expand.
6 other states I'm working on now.
Crossing our fingers very, very soon. So let's start with intermittent fasting, just because it's something that I do. I usually will fast 5 days a week, 18 hours. For the most part, maybe 12 to 18 hours, just depends on the day. Um, and I do it because I have an autoimmune condition. And I like to think that I'm giving my body some time to renew its cells versus constantly throwing some inflammatory things at it.
It's an interesting topic. I'm a big fan of medical research, and the purpose of medical research is to understand the truth. And I would say the jury is still out on intermittent fasting, but what what we have seen in the research is that when you take a certain amount of calories, let's say it's 2,500 calories a day, and the research shows that the way you spread those calories out doesn't really seem to matter when it comes to weight loss or diabetes reversal or heart disease prevention type things or inflammation. Yet many of us know people who've been stuck on a plateau until they tried intermittent fasting, and that's how
Yeah.
they got off their plateau. I've seen that myself, and so the the research results have not really given us enough direction on understanding for whom does intermittent fasting really play the best role. So in my practice, I've seen intermittent fasting help people cut down on their calories. Just even if it's as simple as the kitchen is closed at 7 p.m. and does not open again until 7 a.m. For in a sense, that's a very simplified version of an intermittent fast. Just close the kitchen at the same time each day. There are many different types of variations of intermittent fasting, and there so been a tricky thing to study. We know that personalized dietary advice is better than just general dietary advice, and so I plan to continue to use intermittent fasting in a subset of patients for whom it seems to have a role.
I look at it as I just don't eat breakfast. And there is a lot of debate over there as to why people started eating breakfast, whether it was just a commercialized thing to sell eggs or cereal or whatever it might be. And then there are others to say it's really important to do it to start, keep it getting your body going in the morning. But I just I just don't eat breakfast and I have lunch, a small snack, and dinner. And I start my eating at noon. Now, coffee, on the other hand, that starts in the morning.
We've all heard that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. I've never really felt that way, but um, research studies do show, especially in school children, that you know the morning goes better for them if they've had healthy food before school. And so, what does healthy food before school mean? Well, it's not a Pop Tart, and it could be a bowl of oatmeal or eggs or milk with a whole grain cereal. So a lot of a lot of what we've come to believe about breakfast comes from studies in children showing that they do better in school, at least in the morning, if they've had a healthy breakfast. But you can bet that cereal makers, including unhealthy cereal, have jumped on and used that sort of thing to promote their starchy breakfast. I do not think a starchy breakfast for most people is something that's going to make their health better.
A little bit of protein. I always say mix some eggs with some spinach and some mushrooms and a little bit of garlic and onion, and oh, is that delicious.
My breakfast usually consists of unsweetened Greek yogurt and berries. It's
Oh,
quick
see,
and
that's a
easy.
great idea.
Yeah,
And we even go ahead.
it has protein, calcium, all the good things that are in berries. It's so quick and easy. So that's just what a lot of people do for breakfast.
We create these little baggies once every few months for my dad, and we mix in turkey tail mushroom powder, some raw cacao, some cinnamon, some creatine powder, collagen powder, ground chia seeds, ground flax seeds, some hemp seeds, and some crushed walnuts. And so he can just grab one of those little baggies. He grabs his berries, grabs his unsweetened yogurt, and he dumps that in, mixes it in, and he gets a little extra oomph in his yogurt every morning.
Yes, I like it. Not everyone needs to have breakfast, and so it needs to be personalized.
It really does. I love that you keep focusing on the personalization of things because there is no one size, fits all for everybody. And as your research has always said, the best diet is the one that you're going to stick with,
Yes, adherence
which
is
is
the name
important.
of the game.
So Heinz and I had this great discussion yesterday, and he joins us today because there was a 60 minutes special that was on Sunday night about ultra processed foods. And it really hit home for me yesterday and into today as well, because I went shopping at the military commissary with my dad. He's a veteran. And you always talk about shopping the perimeter, but the perimeter of this supermarket for the commissary, it had all of the Valentine's Day candy and all of the other goodies and treats right there at the perimeter. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Move that to the middle. But I was then decided I wanted to just take a walk down the middle. You know how many aisles there are, right? There is nothing healthy that I have found in the center of the supermarket, aisle after aisle after aisle. When I went down the cooler area where they normally have cheese, and they have the processed meats and the hot dogs and the on and on and on. And I'm just sitting here going, wow, it's no wonder we are sick. How do we fix this, Dr. Dansinger?
Absolutely. So I wish I had a simple answer to how we're going to fix it, but it's a national health crisis, right? I mean, the health of the citizens of the United States is our most valuable asset, and we've had epidemics of heart disease and weight-related medical problems, including type 2 diabetes, etc. And it is the processed food that, and especially the ultra processed food that's driving these epidemics. But none of us wants to live in a world where it's illegal to sell cookies, right? So, we believe in freedom and personal responsibility, and um, you know, sharing information, and helping. I think that the medical system and the government does have an obligation to help people help themselves,
Yeah.
but in the end, right, we need to find personal strategies to help protect ourselves against the foods that we want to stay away from. In the middle of the supermarket aisle is a danger zone. And so, just like, um, we all, we, so one of the best strategies is keeping these obviously unhealthy foods out of the house. At nighttime, many people grow weak and they're going to eat the unhealthy, sugary, ice cream, cookies, etc., if it's in the house. And so, not putting in the grocery cart, not going down that aisle, the ice cream aisle, is a big part of a personalized strategy to keep away from that stuff.
I was looking at a meme on Instagram just the other day, and it was showing all of these packaged foods, these ultra processed foods that used to be fairly okay, whether it was the cereal or one that really struck me was Ritz crackers. And Ritz crackers, they used to only have four ingredients that you knew. It was the grain, it was the butter, and lots of butter, and whatever else it was. And now it's a laundry list of ingredients. How do we get back if they can make these products healthier and more pure? How do we incentivize these companies to do so? Do you think we're on track to doing that with the current push?
It's an interesting point, and you caught me off guard. I don't have the answer. So
It's
I
okay.
will say
It's
this.
just food for thought, right? It's just good
Yeah,
food for thought.
yeah. So as soon as you start, you know, trying to come up with strategies, you're going to get people with strong opinions that contradict one another. So it's challenging. Um, Let me remind viewers that even though we we're living in a time when there's never been such a wide variety of unhealthy toxic food, there's
Mm.
this is also the healthiest, the best time to eat healthily. I mean, it's never been easier to find a wide range of healthy foods
Yeah.
available. The problem is they're all mixed in the same supermarket as all the crap. And so, but there's a wide range of healthy proteins, a wide range of vegetables and fruits and produce. And if most of what we're eating is vegetables and lean proteins and a moderate amount of fruit, if that's 90% of what we're eating, and it can be, almost anyone could eat that way if they wanted and still even go to a restaurant once a week and focus on protein, vegetables, and a moderate amount of fruit. Um, it reverses disease, prevents disease, and what I'm saying about lean proteins, fruits, and vegetables will remain true throughout your lifetime. It's not subject to advertising, etc. It's what we've learned through many decades of research. So um, learning how to do that is how I train my patients, how we reverse type 2 diabetes and prevent heart disease. And so that's what I urge people to focus on, is get very good at establishing that eating style.
What was interesting is when we read the story yesterday, I had picked up these um, non-preservative, no antibiotic chicken strips that were frozen, which make it really easy if I'm making a salad or a healthy wrap using the coconut turmeric wraps for my dad. Just really just quick and easy, right? Get a little extra protein in there. But after, working with you here, I've been a little bit more discriminating in terms of the chicken. And this time when I went back, I looked and it said that, it didn't say that it was pasture raised, or it didn't have that little extra in there. There was nothing to indicate that I was eating just not what was around it versus being force fed corn and grain and whatever else, they put in a chicken coop. So I got a little concerned, and I started reading the package a little bit further, and it said it was Tyson. And so it was Freedom's Choice. It was a military brand where they want to make everybody think, and the military think it's this, you know, glorious, healthy food that's, specific for for military families and veterans, and it just feels like it's supposed to be healthier. And then you look
Mm.
and it's still Tyson, and the ingredients and everything are still the same. It's still mass manufactured. It's not pasture raised, and you're not getting healthy. So I said to my dad, I said, Dad, what do you want to do? And he said, well, you know what? I don't think that we should buy it. We work so hard. Why do we want something in our pantry or in our freezer that we're going to grab and go to be that when we can go to the local store and we'll cut up a few chicken breasts ourselves and freeze them and do it that way. And I looked at him, I said, but Dad, we're going over to Popeyes because it was 5 years to the day that my mom passed away. And one of her favorite things was Popeyes. So twice a year, we stop by Popeyes and we get it. And I said, so how, Dad, are you going to justify the Popeyes? And he said, I could justify it in that that's a twice a year thing. You're talking about going into the supermarket and buying something for every day. And he's like, I see that as different. And I see his point. You could splurge once in a while, but what you're putting in your basket should be something that you feel good about eating every single day.
Absolutely. As always, you make a lot of really good points there, Kim. Yeah, so with my patients, I have something called the 90% rule. You're aiming to be strict, but nobody's perfect. No one's 100%, right? We're all trying to live our lives to the best and to the fullest. And that doesn't always mean skipping an occasional treat. And so we all have our personal thresholds, but um, we all eat unhealthy things from time to time, even though we know that they're not good for our health because there's reasons to do that. And so birthday cake on your birthday is just one of many types of examples, right? Popeyes when it's meaningful, not because you did it on accident and got caught off guard, but because you did it on purpose for a reason. And so, unhealthy treats have a role and actually improve our lives. When eaten for under the right circumstances, I think we can all agree on that.
Thank you. And Heinz, did you want to jump in with anything that you heard that really struck you or any questions that stemmed from watching that 60 minutes video?
The only thing to add to that was there's a previous FDA chief, David Kessler, Dr. David Kessler, and he's put in a petition to uh, end the Grass Act, which is a very old act from, I think, the 50s or 60s. And Kennedy says he's going to look into that petition because basically we're eating poison. So it was a good interview. It was about 15 minutes long.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning this. I did not see it. I'd like to see it. I think it would be interesting. 60 Minutes is an important show, and a lot of viewers um, get insights from that show. So thanks for sharing that. I think the Grass Act is about foods that are generally recognized as safe, and so um, uh, there are molecules and compounds and substances that have been part of the human diet for you know millennia, and so I think that's where the idea of generally recognized as safe comes from. I have more to learn about that and what the rationale is. I've read some of Dr. Kessler's books about um, processed food and how it affects our brains. Some good reading, and so I'll be interested to learn more about these viewpoints.
Yeah, thank you so much. I know this was a little bit of a spontaneous discussion, but we like to be, timely with some of these, and we're going to get back to in the next couple of weeks getting more specific patients questions answered because they always are coming in. I know we're taking a break next week, but we'll be back the week after. I think are we into
That's
March?
March 2nd.
Okay, so that is going to kick off Nutrition Month. And I think that's a pretty big deal. So get your questions ready. Dr. Dansinger has office hours on March 2nd. It'll be from 12 to 12:30 Pacific Pacific time, 3 to 3:30 Eastern time. If you're in the UK, in GMT in London, that is at 8 o'clock. And make sure you join us and bring your questions, bring your meal plans, and ask Dr. Dansinger your burning questions about diet to help you live a longer, healthier life. Meantime, make sure you do like this video, subscribe to our channels, and don't forget to visit Diabetes Reversal Partners